Hello and welcome to Edie Extra, the new home for all of Edie's special audio features, building on our long-running Sustainability Uncovered podcast with one-on-one interviews, site visits, analysis, panels and more.
Hello and welcome to edie Extra, the podcast channel that is home to discussions about sustainability leadership with sustainability leaders. I am Edie senior reporter Sidhi Mittal, and in this episode we are looking into the realm of digital solutions for carbon data management. Deloitte research last year found that 6 in 10 business decision makers see trouble accessing high-quality ESG data as their single biggest challenge in annual reporting. But new frameworks for measuring and managing impacts like emissions could change this, especially given the wealth of digital solutions which are emerging to give businesses a helping hand. Our guest for this episode is George Sandilands, VP of Carbon Accounting at Sage. He can help us simplify the complex world of carbon data a little. Hi, George. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hi, Sidhi. I'm very well. Great to be here.
Thank you. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and what led you to join Sage?
Sure thing. So I am somewhat recent to the carbon accounting. When I say recent, in the last 6 or 7 years, this has become the challenge of focus for me. I really came at this challenge having run a lot of small businesses myself, and through the eyes of a business owner was looking for tools to help me with running a more ethical and sustainable business, led onto carbon accounting, which ultimately led me to see a gap in the market for digitized, simple, automated tools for SMEs that they can use that gives them quality data that they can trust, but also uses existing data from all the business systems that they have already, rather than lots of kind of unnecessary time and effort, given that small businesses are often really up against it when it comes to resourcing. So yeah, I kind of went on this journey of identifying an opportunity and building a startup called Spherix. We built that out. We got some grant funding. We raised capital. We grew the business. We were told that we were one of the leaders in carbon accounting for small businesses after a few years of operation, and that eventually led to an acquisition by Sage, which is where we now are continuing our mission within a much bigger organisation.
Thanks, George. And how has the acquisition by Sage helped Spherix's mission to scale worldwide?
That's a great question. I mean, primarily scale. So, we had, when we were Spherix, we had customers in the early thousands, but through partnering and joining the Sage ecosystem, so, Sage has more than 2 million customers globally. We've got a mandate from Sage to make carbon accounting available to all Sage customers. But more than that, actually, it's not just about the Sage ecosystem. We've also continued focus on making these tools available to businesses who want to enter data manually, or who use different software packages. We're trying to make it as flexible as possible so that any small business can use Sage Earth carbon accounting. But yeah, as I said, the main benefit has been the scale and the access to customers. So we've been able to now make carbon accounting available within the package and the user experience that businesses already are used to in their finance, in their HR, in their payroll software, and provide carbon accounting in that experience. And as I said, like hundreds of thousands of businesses have now got access to it following a release earlier this month, which is really exciting. And kind of by the end of the year, about 500,000 businesses will have access to carbon accounting for free, or essentially packaged as part of their existing software suite, which is really, really exciting. So we're kind of democratizing these tools in a way that hasn't been seen before.
Oh, that's really interesting. But before we delve deeper into how Sage helps other companies with their decarbonization and net zero journeys, I'd love to catch up on how the company itself is faring with its own journey towards its science-based targets.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not my main area of focus, but we work in a very integrated way with the core sustainability and foundation team at Sage. I think one thing that's been really great coming into a big company is seeing environmental responsibility being taken really seriously and having a team who are really focused on taking the right kind of action. But to your point around the sort of emissions reduction, we've set a science-based target. In 2024, we achieved, I think it was 16.6% reduction across scope 1, 2 and 3. And there's a 50% reduction by 2030. We're currently at kind of sort of 75%. So in short, there's a long way to go. There's good signals. But interestingly, one of the most there's a real kind of tension at the minute in and buzzword of the moment, AI is it. AI is powering our own ability to deliver products to our users in ways that we never imagined possible even 18 months ago. Like, we're building software that would have taken years in weeks. And that's really, really exciting in terms of being able to ship new features and support the users at scale. At the same time, the biggest growth area and the biggest challenge in Sage's corporate emissions is data centers. And, how do we manage that? And there's a lot of really smart minds working on that. But yeah, anyway, it's good progress, but a lot of work to do.
No, that's really interesting. Edie has, we have published our own AI and ESG series. I've been following AI as a topic and the environmental impact of it closely for a few months. So it's all really interesting. I do want to ask about another aspect of emissions, but that's your customers. As I understand, your customer emissions are thousands of times higher than Sage's own. So how can carbon accounting platforms help to create a ripple effect of decarbonization?
Yeah, absolutely. So we looked at our scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions, and whilst, we are not in a heavy sector compared to some businesses. We're a technology business, we're relatively light and agile, but there's 14,000 employees, so that has a significant footprint. There's offices, there's all kind of stuff going on. But when we looked at our estimated customer emissions, so the emissions of all of our customers, it was about 65,000 times as many as our own operational emissions across all scopes, right? So this is huge. And I think what that led to is a recognition at Sage that the biggest lever that we have for decarbonisation is helping our customers on their own journey. Of course, we're still focused on our operational emissions. We have to walk the talk. But in terms of a lever for change, global change, 65,000 times the opportunity is by helping our customers. So that's really why we've got a long-term mandate to build out these toolings and provide it to all of our customers across all regions.
That's very interesting. Can you elaborate a bit about what kind of toolings or solutions are you talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, carbon accounting headline term, for me, carbon accounting is more than just measurement. It's providing measurement, then helping businesses on their journey of decarbonisation, helping them access finance, helping them access solution providers, pointing them on the direction to decarbonisation. Now, primarily, to date, we've been focused on measurement, and we still are laser focused on getting the measurement right, making sure it's easy, making sure it's accurate. One of the things that we're really focused on as well is not just making sure that we're doing it in a way with a black box that says we've got the best tool. We're trying to, like with the industry, to bring people together around emissions factors and around methodologies so that there is consistency and harmony in the underlying space, which then will help everybody move forward and really importantly help all of our collective customers and governments have confidence that these systems are fit for purpose. So that, yeah, there's a lot of work there. And then, as I said, there's a lot of work on the kind of what next. So once you've done the measurement piece, helping them with reporting in line with all the various standards. So for us in the UK, it's the kind of Policy Procurement Note, or PPN 0621, renamed PPN 006. There's the UK SME Voluntary Standard. There's SECR reporting. So those are the kind of reporting outputs. And then, as I said, we've got a number of features that are primarily, driven by AI and some new tooling, which is all about what can I do about it? How can I transition, etc.
No, that's really insightful. Do you think these solutions can help businesses with low direct footprints as well, like financial services, banking?
Yeah, I mean, I think we work across all sectors except agriculture. Agriculture is very challenging. Farming is a sector that we don't currently cover. There's lots of good tools that do cover it. But for all businesses in all sectors, by engaging with carbon accounting, having an understanding of where you are, it's not just about doing the right thing. It's about long-term business value. It's actually about decreasing your risk profile. It's making you secure to energy price fluctuations. So, as you may know, small businesses especially have been really affected over the last couple of years by the fluctuating price of energy, and the energy price or electricity price is linked to the gas price. So in a sort of unstable geopolitical environment where, one country might invade another, or there might be some other kind of really challenging global incident, that knock-on effect will hit small businesses where it hurts in terms of their ability to turn the lights on. Now, if that business has gone on a journey and again, it's only relevant to some businesses who have their own premises, but if they've installed a heat pump, if they have put solar panels on the roof, if they've done what they can in terms of energy efficiency in their buildings, they're actually reducing their risk. They're making them more resilient for the future. And that's really what we're trying to help businesses with, is, to thrive in unstable times.
Thanks, Raj. You mentioned some challenges that businesses are currently facing in the current climate, but can you expand on what kind of trends are you seeing with your customers regarding carbon accounting? What are the most common areas where they need assistance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so there's a number of different kind of personas. There's definitely still a lot of businesses who've never done this and probably still wouldn't know what carbon accounting is if they were asked to explain it. That's really the persona that we're trying to target. There's early adopters and there's people who know what they're doing, and we can help them quite easily because they know what they need. But there's an awful lot of businesses that don't really understand the business value from engaging with sustainability. And I think what we're trying to demonstrate is that by engaging with sustainability, as I mentioned before, you lower your risk profile, but you also create opportunities. You create ways in which you can connect with your customers around sustainability. You may be able to access different customers who are willing to pay a price premium for sustainable products or services, or just to work with a firm who has good ethical moral compass. So that there's a number of reasons why customers are engaging with carbon accounting, and in terms of the areas that they need assistance, as I mentioned, it really depends where they are on their journey. It might just be getting started with measurement. It might actually be building out a transition plan and understanding what they can do about it. It might be creating sustainability policies. It really depends where they show up, and we're trying to help companies where, no matter where they are starting on their journey, they can come in and get the tooling that they need and the support that they're looking for.
I mean, there's a saying in the industry that collaboration is key when you're tackling the climate crisis, and you've spoken about collaboration in terms of how you can help create a ripple effect of decarbonisation within other sectors. But how are you forging partnerships with other innovators in the fields of carbon accounting and emission standards for businesses?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before briefly, one of the biggest issues right now is if you give our tool the same data as another tool that does something similar, or if you give it to a consultancy, you'll get 3 different answers. None of those answers are wrong. They all follow the greenhouse gas protocol, which is the globally agreed framework for greenhouse gas accounting. But there's different interpretations. There's slightly different methodologies you can deploy, and you can use different emissions factor profiles. Now, we are spearheading a project with Mike Berners-Lee and the team at Small World Consulting, alongside Icebreaker One and the British Business Bank, to try and get the industry of carbon accountants to use the same underlying methodologies and emissions factors. Now, yesterday our team were down at the Carbon Accounting Alliance, again, which is an organisation run by Million and Andrew, who've done really great work in bringing the industry together. And again, they're very supportive of our project Carbon Commons. And primarily what this is it's bringing a harmonized way of comparing a input-output model approach, which is kind of what's maybe more colloquially known as a spend base. So you'll take some spend financial data, you'll apply emissions factors, and it uses like a multi-regional input-output table or environmentally extended kind of input-output table methodology. There's another approach on the other side, which is more about getting the emissions for a particular product or service. And that's kind of more like a product life cycle or an EPD, an environmental product declaration in construction. Now, these 2 methods are both appropriate. There's pros and cons of both. You know, spend or an input-output approach is good because it's got a consistent system boundary. The PLCA or life cycle approach is good because it's more granular and more specific, but it often misses certain things. For example, advertising, the emissions associated to advertising products, or certain operational parts of the emission profile which aren't captured in the life cycle analysis approach. So we've kind of taken this approach of, is there a way of hybridizing and building a gap between a spend-based and an activity-based emissions profile, and can we create a open source, free-to-use data set that anyone can get on with, that means that whether you do it one way or the other way, there is consistency and it means something. And importantly, data can be compared against each other, because what's happening right now, a lot of businesses are saying, well, we just need to replace our spend data with activity data. And that's all very well until you get a supply chain who are all bidding for work, and one is using a different methodology to another. So in a procurement process, the one of them looks like it's much lower impact than the other one, but it's actually not. It's just using a different methodology. Now, in a world where large businesses are saying we want to be able to compare our suppliers against each other in terms of climate, we have to have a consistent way of reporting. Otherwise, it's penalising businesses who are doing it one way or the other. So, yeah, as I said, we're spending a lot of time trying to bring that harmonisation, and the project is called Carbon Commons. You can Google it for anyone who's interested, or reach out to myself or others who are in the project if you want to get involved.
Thank you, Josh. That was actually really, really interesting. Finally, I do want to ask, can you share your top tip for businesses looking to improve their carbon accounting or accelerate their decarbonization at this moment in time?
Sure. I mean, if you're already doing carbon accounting, big tick, well done. That's great that businesses are getting started. I think whilst we're very focused on measurement is not the end. So I would say get your measurement good enough and then think about what you can do about it. And in terms of your transition and what's next, accelerating decarbonisation, I like to think of splitting things into buckets. There's the immediate term quick wins. Get those done. Change the light bulbs. Do an energy audit of your buildings. Get the things which are relatively low cost and accessible, and just do them as soon as possible. Do whatever you need to do, wherever you sit in the business, whether you've just been asked to get on with this, or you're a director of the business who is kind of, able to make these kind of decisions. lobby internally to get that easy stuff done, because you're going to see immediate results, and then that's going to help with the kind of business case of what's next. Then in terms of these bigger kind of cost benefit analysis decisions of like, you know, okay, we're actually going to have to spend some significant capital and investment to do some stuff. That's a harder challenge, right? And my advice there would be link it all back to business value, link it to risk, and link it to opportunity, because otherwise it won't stand up against other investments. And then also, you know, challenge the company that you're in to decide what kind of business that you want to be. Are you a business that's on the right side of history? Are you a business that is doing positive things in the world? And if so, you know, talk about that. But yeah, overall, I'd say if you're on the journey, that's really great. Keep it going. If you're not on the journey, get involved, use our tool or one of the other great tools out there in the market and start work.
Thank you once again, George, for all your insights. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this episode, but I'm sure our audience will find these takeaways really, really insightful. Thanks to Sage for sponsoring this episode on Edie Extra. That is all for this episode. Until next time, goodbye.